I'm pretty fatigued. Oh boy. Happy Friday, everyone. Jarek Cyphus, aka Second Con here. Don't have a lot of time to get this information into a video, so I'm going to try and condense it all and just go forward with this thing. Stream recap. Star Trek Online this past Tuesday. It was good. Could have been a lot better. Last week was great. That's surprising because I played on my ramen and drank ramen and ale. You'd think maybe that would have drawn some more interest. More people were interested in how to make the drink than they were in the actual stream, so not a lot of people hung out. Did not even have that many unique viewers for that one, so let's try and do better. There could be a lot of reasons for that. I was terrible at my social media announcements this week. I'm going to try and do better about that. Might have been because the literature was delayed. People might be getting turned off because I'm starting to paywall some of my literature behind Patreon, but let's just be real here. $1 a month, if you can't afford that, I'm not sure what you're doing on the internet in the first place, because we all know we all shop on the internet. $1 a month isn't going to kill anybody. I'm not trying to shake anybody down and beg y'all for this, but my time can't be free much longer when I'm getting ready to go back to work. My time's kind of precious. I've got real life commitments. I've got my family to think about. So if I want to do this, I need to kind of be met halfway here. You know, I think that was kind of the point of Patreon. I don't mean to be negative about that, but at some point you reach a threshold where it's like, okay, how much longer do I want to do this for free? And I'm not asking for a lot, just $1 a month. I could be like some of those YouTube guys out there and gals who are shaking their people down for a minimum of $25 a month. I'm not going to do that. I have tiers for a reason. It's up to y'all how much you want to contribute. Minimum $1 a month, you get access to all of my literature. Period. You want more? Ask for more. That's your ticket in to giving me feedback. And I can only make this content better with y'all's help. Speaking of in real life, Thursday a lot of that kind of came up. I had a lot on my mind. The dev stream for ILM 2.5 didn't happen. Best thing I can do is say I'm sorry. I don't have any excuse really other than the brain. I'm telling you, sometimes when you're out of a job and there's a lot going on in your life, your brain kind of closes in on itself and tries to isolate from the world. I'll do my best to try and make the best of this and not let it get to me. But you have to admit, until I did my Red Dead Redemption 2 stream that night at 10:20 at night, when I expected 2 people to show up, I ended up with 6 viewers at one point, plus another 9 third party who came in from social media. That was unexpected. So if people want to see more Red Dead Redemption 2, I can do that because I can stream my PS4 from the computer. That's always an option. So I'll probably do that one again if the interest holds for that. Stream forecast next week, Star Trek Online on June 4th, as we always do. And there will be a triple feature for the literature, like I mentioned, on Patreon for $1 a month. And there'll be Destiny 2. I know it's kind of a market spoken for, but next week there's new content coming out. I want to kind of cover that a little bit, and if during the stream the reveal for Season 3, Year 3, Destiny 3, whatever it's going to be that Bungie's about to tease to us, if that happens during my stream, I would love to have a reaction stream to that. I think that'd be freaking badass, and I think people would like that. So we'll do that. We'll see what happens. Let's project out a little bit. The week after, starting June 11th, it's going to be a Star Wars Galaxies week, all week. I owe the SWG Legends community that much at least. So we'll do a fun stream on Tuesday the 11th while we take a break from STO. We'll do the dev stream, the planned dev stream for ILM 2.5 on the 13th. On Friday the 14th, I will not be streaming, but there will be, with my usual YouTube video going up, there will be a trailer to ILM 2.5, and I will also have a Friday feature on the SWG Legends forums about the history of ILM, its future, and how to make your experience in the present better for everyone, because everyone's mileage clearly varies in 2019. Compared to 2011, there were not as many problems. Well, we have to find a place where we can get a middle ground and weed through the different things people have on their computers to try and unify a positive experience for everybody who uses the mod. It's optional. I'm not forcing anyone to use this, so saying ILM breaks the game is not really fair, because may break it because of something you have in your computer. That's not really your fault either. That's just the hardware you have. But I'm not a systems engineer, so I can't solve every single problem. I'm gonna do my best, but we're gonna make Island 2 better. Especially since Island 3 is coming out at the end of the year, and after that, I'm planning on being done with that. More stream stuff. Season of the Bloom ends on June 20th. That will be the last stream for Season of the Bloom and the content we've been doing this season. We'll start Season of the Patriot on June 25th, ending on September 22nd. It's going to be very PvP centric. I'm going to cover more in next week's video. Let's go a little bit over some gaming news while we're thinking about it. Next week's Season of Opulence for Destiny 2 will drop on Tuesday, and I guess there's going to be a Year 3, Destiny 3, something 3 review on Thursday, hence the stream on Thursday. And I want to address the elephant in the room. I'm sure you've heard the World Health Organization has referred to gaming addiction as a gaming disorder. I want to cover this in a later video. I have different opinions that some of the experts have on it because one of the reports I read on this research seemed to read from the perspective of somebody who's never played a video game a day in their life. So I think that's kind of a skewed perspective to have when you're researching what about video games constitutes a disorder. We'll get more into that in a later stream, but it was just kind of alarming to see how many people kind of came together and said, video games are a problem. Well, in 29, I think if you rolled this back a decade ago, when WoW was all the rage still, I would have agreed to some extent because people were dropping dead in Korean internet cafes. Okay, that's a problem. I haven't heard much about that in recent years. Maybe we're getting healthier and smarter about how we feel our bodies when we game long term, or maybe there's just a different perspective on it. I want to research that some more and give you guys some more accurate information on where they came up with this. Speaking of where they came up with stuff, let's talk about the other elephant in the room, Randy Pitchford. Look, man, I like Gearbox, I do, because I wanted Aliens Colonial Marines to be a great game because I'm a big Aliens fan. It wasn't. The mods that have come out for it that fixed AI made the game look better. Cool. It makes the game playable, at least for me and a couple of my friends. But, the man is incapable of taking ownership over anything. The guy is a Twitter storm like someone else we know in the United States of America. The guy's a bit of a Twitter storm who doesn't know when to stop. That's a problem for me and a lot of others. I'm sure you've seen, if you haven't seen it, you should check it out on his Twitter or Game Informer's Twitter. He went on a tirade against Game Informer for a variety of reasons. I'll get into why at a later date. This is just a quick recap. But this is something that has got to stop. If you're the CEO of a major company, you have to really kind of take ownership over not only the decisions that your producers and your developers are making, but you as a CEO, especially when you're the one driving the bus and your bus hits a pothole and rolls the damn thing over and your project ends up as a total failure, you have to take ownership of that. You can't just sit there and pass the buck and blame the internet or someone else or your old voice actor for Claptrap. You can't be passing the blame around when the blame literally lies solely at your feet. That's something you got to work out your problems, man. Sorry to say it. Some of you may also be aware, poorly timed with Memorial Day, there was an Army tweet that came out that asked, how has the Army impacted your life? Really, the question should be, how has military service impacted your life? Those who are familiar with that tweet are probably also familiar with the responses to that. I'm simply just providing more of a reverberation of how many other people have brought this to the forefront as news. I'm not in a position right now to talk more about it. I'll get into why next week, but we're going to talk about this more in depth. That's, in fact, I'd say half of my stream next week is going to be centered around that Army tweet and why that's a problem and why we need to look at this problem in our service before we can move past it. And that kind of leads me into in real life a little bit. Lately, it's no surprise to a lot of my close friends, maybe to some degree my friends online that I play games with, and I've only ever played games with, not met in person, but definitely my close personal friends, personal associates know I've suffered from a little bit of depression throughout recent years, more so in the last 5 years than I think I've ever had in my life. It's had its highs and lows. Lately, it's been a low. When you have a mountain of concerns and you're out of a job, even though you know you're going to be okay and you know you're going to be going back to a job, when things like cabin fever start to set in and not knowing where all your responsibilities lie and you're kind of like out of place a little bit, depression's a hell of a monster and it can grab a hold really quick, and it takes a lot of effort, not just from others but yourself. You have to find it in yourself first to overcome that depression. If you can't get help because you either can't afford it, you're afraid to, you don't have insurance, whatever it may be, there are 1.5 million resources online available to not just veterans but everyone. You know, if it's so extreme that you need a suicide hotline, you can Google that. Depression, you can Google that. Again, in alignment with the whole Army tweet thing, we're going to cover more of this next week. It's going to be kind of a focus to kind of make sure that not only myself, but all y'all, especially anybody watching this who suffered from depression, we all have a good summer. We're not held down by fear and uncertainty like seems to cloud so many of us who have depression. So we'll cover more about that one next week. But at the end of the day, depression adds up. It really does. Depression adds up really quickly. So the best thing I can tell y'all, if you can't afford it, if you can't do it, talk to somebody. Talk to somebody you may never know. Someone next to you might have also suffered from depression, and they either overcame it or are still suffering from it. And sometimes talking together is the first step in starting the healing process. You wouldn't believe who I talked to who kind of helped me through it a little bit. I'd been kind of low last week and was very low this week. One of the things that helped me last week that started the beginning of this week better is I found a kind of a bit of a support group in the Star Wars Galaxies Legends community full of veterans. Not just a couple of the veterans I already play with, because one of my best friends with whom I play Star Wars Galaxies right now is an Army veteran. He's an old paratrooper. Great dude. But I didn't realize until I was running through some other content with just a random pick-me-up group, there were 3 veterans in the group who spoke very intimately in detail that I'm very familiar with, very personally familiar with, that immediately gave credibility to what they were telling me. And then we continued talking, and then we saved each other's contact information and stayed connected. And it's kind of become sort of a support group. You know, not just a bunch of people in chairs. It's more like a bunch of people in a circle with colored names on a screen and lightsabers in their hands. But hey, a support group is a support group. Talk to somebody. That's so important. Talk to someone. It helps. I'm going to end this on a positive note, though, with a little bit of other in real life stuff. My wife and I got in contact with, go figure, another military person who we met on base last night, and we scored about $1,000 in electronics for only $500. PS4, 4K HDR TV, some accessories, all of it gently used, like maybe only 3 months old. Was pretty much a steal for what we paid for. Set it all up last night, worked great. I mean, while I was streaming Red Dead Redemption 2 here in the office last night, she was having a good time on her brand new TV, watching Netflix, getting her PlayStation set up, and all kinds of fun stuff. That's probably a good way to end this week. I'm going to be hanging out with some Navy comrades, because pretty much me and a lot of others going away party tonight. So I'm going to be going off to do that. So that's going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to be up in GalaxyCon in Richmond this weekend with my wife. We're going to be meeting some of our childhood Trekkie heroes. I know there's Renee Aubergenois, Jetsia Dax's actress. I know we have Michael Dorn's going to be there. There's a bunch of them. I don't have the list in front of me. Otherwise, I would just run off the whole thing. We couldn't be more excited to go, because the whole reason we decided to go in the first place was because of everyone that was on there. So we're super stoked to go do this thing. I'm sorry. It's normally I would edit the hell out of this video, but you can see how scatterbrained I am. It's the byproduct of a rough week, but I just want to let y'all know I'm okay. My head's back in the game. I'm getting better. I'm going to be improving the content of this, the quality of this content as we go forward. Again, looking for options to either use my phone as a camera. Unfortunately, that's behind a paywall. I have driver support already on my computer, but apparently OBS wants $15 of my money to get the app that I need to run it on for my freaking phone. So that may have to wait. It's not that money is super, super tight. I just don't want to spend money on unnecessary things when I have a cam. It's not the best cam. I get it. I understand. I've heard the feedback, and I appreciate it. But this is a lot easier with y'all's help, so believe me, when I ask, I don't mean to beg, but every little bit helps on Patreon. So if y'all are willing to lend a little support, $1 a month gets you access to all my literature. $1, that's it. I'm not shaking you down for 20 or 25. $1. That's all I'm asking for. Thank you all so much. Hope to see y'all next week. Probably a lot more bright-eyed and bushy-tailed next week, I can assure you that. So there'll be a lot to cover next week. I want to keep my head positive in the game because obviously we're going to be covering some dark stuff. So I think the next week's video will start with the dark stuff, and then we're going to get into the positive, fun stuff. So it'll be a little reverse of what we normally do. But until then, hope to catch y'all next time. This is Jarek Cyphus, signing out.